I'm Tara Brandner, and this is Hopeful Hints, an infertility podcast where you will receive quick, hopeful hints to guide you through infertility. Here, you will find education, inspiration, and most importantly, find peace as you walk through this journey to fulfill your family vision. Today's episode is brought to you by Protea Nutrition, Dr. Brandner approved. Protea Nutrition was designed specifically for women and encompasses all fitness and wellness needs without including harsh stimulants or artificial ingredients. And the best part is many of the products can be used in pregnancy and while breastfeeding. What you see on the label is exactly what you get. Nothing hidden. No special mixes, just science-based ingredients at effective doses, keeping your long-term health in mind. Check out the link located in today's show notes to check out all of Protea's supplements, including my favorite fertility-friendly products. Welcome to this week's episode of Hopeful Hints. I'm your host, Dr. Tara Brandner, and welcome to National Infertility Awareness Week 2022. Now, this week can be very exciting, very confusing. It can bring about a lot of emotions. And every one of you listening might be at a different place, and it might shift every day of the week. There's so much going on out there. There's a lot of free things you can get in on this week. There's giveaways. Perhaps this is the first time people are sharing stories, or the 5th or the 10th time. They're shouting it from a mountain. There's just so much going on. This week's episode, I kind of changed direction. A patient of mine texted me about 2 hours ago. I'm recording the night before, which is unusual for me, but I really felt compelled to shift the direction of this week's podcast episode and sit down and share. So I'm going to read for you. She gave me permission to share. I'm not sharing her name. But her question was, do you have any helpful hints for telling some friends and family about infertility? I can hardly even think about it without sobbing, let alone talk about it. But to refrain from all of the questions of when you're having another child or your first child, I probably should start to tell some people what I'm going through. My response is always, hopefully soon, in God's plans. But I should probably tell some of my good friends so they can walk beside me through it. I tried to talk about it at church on Sunday, and I about threw up. I was crying so hard. It is so hard. I wish I could just calm down about it, but I can't. It's literally all I think about every day, all day, and it makes me sick. Thank you for your time. Well, Tara's almost in tears reading. I am in tears. I'm trying not to have you hear it in my voice, but I feel her message resonates with so many of you. And so, I've done some previous episodes. I have a blog. When should I share my infertility struggle with others? I have a couple episodes, how to become an infertility advocate and share your story, 3 ways to share your story, dear friends and family. I have infertility, which is a really good one just to hit send to them. But I kind of want to summarize all of this in one. So deciding to share your infertility story is a difficult decision, right? It's full of so much emotion, and the mental health that goes along with this disease is often forgotten. And so to just openly share about what you're going through isn't easy, period. It just isn't. And so believe it or not, at the beginning of my diagnosis, I didn't tell anyone. I had failed 3 rounds of IUI and had a miscarriage before I finally opened up. Shocker. You wouldn't know that now, right? So once I did open up, I just started with my clinic, mostly because I had to, because of my job schedule. And I share this often, but I found out my secretary was going through the exact same thing, miscarriage, IUI. And so my first tip to this is it really is your decision. When and how many. It might just be one person. It might be your 2 best friends. It might be your mom. Your mom might be the last person you tell because it's overwhelming and She perhaps is the person who's going to want to fix it, right? Because that's what moms do. We don't need someone to fix it right now. What we really need is someone who's going to listen. So I encourage you to think back in other hard times in your life. Who was the person or people who were really there for you? No judgment, judge free zone, total listening ear, supportive words came back at you when you shared something with them. That is perhaps who you begin to open up to. You don't need to go posting your story on social media this week unless that's where you're at. If that's the stage you're in, this is a great week. I highly encourage you to use this week to do it, but don't feel like that's where you have to begin is by posting it. Now, the other thing to consider is, does my partner or spouse have feelings on sharing or how we should go about sharing our infertility story? And so that might be something just to lightly sit down and say, like, hey, what are we comfortable sharing? How much of our journey and what we're going through are we going to allow people into? Are we just going to say, hey, we're diagnosed with infertility. We really could just use some support. Know that you're here for us. Are you going to say, hey, I'm taking Femara and on this day I do this and we're tracking this and we're taking this medication and we're going through this treatment? How specific and how much do you want to tell and share with others? Often many will feel like, will I be judged? What's my employer going to think? Like, am I going to get met with resistance and is it going to affect my job performance when I know? Now, I'll preface this right there. It's illegal for them to discriminate. I can cite legal lines for you if you do have any employer concerns. Reach out to me. Happy to help with that. And so just know that in your time, the right time to share with your employer will roll around too. And if that's where you're at, this week's a great time to do that as well, to wear orange at work, to do Jeans Day for fundraising for a local infertility nonprofit of your choice. But that can be a very hard decision too, is when to tell your employer. Now, what to expect when you share your journey? Now, in the ideal world, you would hear, I am so sorry that you were going through this. How can I be there for you? What do you need? They would send a text message, a card, something to check in on you with, a gentle reminder that they're there for you. However, sometimes we are met with ridiculous comments, or people just want to help and fix things. They want to do something to help you or give you something that they feel is going to help you. So they're going to insert, hey, my one friend tried this. Did you do that? I hope that's not what happens to you, but just say, you know what? We've tried everything we can. This is a disease, and we are at the point of medical treatment with our healthcare provider. And sometimes just knowing some things that could be said to you and having your sentence or your slogan ready to go ahead of time. Thanks. That means a lot that you would provide that information to us. I really appreciate it. However, right now, what we really just need is your well wishes, your thoughts, your prayers, insert whatever, an ear to listen to, and see how that goes. Now, if you're at the point where you are looking for ways, you're ready to share, you've decided what you're going to share, how you're going to share it, your spouse is on board, and even sometimes I'll put this in there too. If your spouse isn't on board for sharing, ask if you can just open up to a close friend or family member versus your team at work or social media. That might make your spouse more comfortable too, but I believe that we each individually need to decide, when, what, who to share with. And even if our spouse isn't ready to do that and you are, I think just being comfortable knowing there's, a handful of people or a couple of people you can open up to is really healthy. But one way is to just text or call someone close to you. Pick up the phone, text them, hey, you want to meet me for coffee? Because we know that 61% of women going through infertility don't share with their friends and family that they have this. So a simple text or call this week might be the biggest move you've made in this journey of sharing so far. Join a community, join a support group, perhaps even starting an anonymous Instagram account. Many women have found a lot of support in doing that because then you can tap in and connect with the infertility space that's on Instagram or Facebook. Instagram's just the biggest place. TikTok's kind of growing out there. I'm dipping my toes into that a little bit. But it's just a great way. There's free communities. I have a Facebook community. I'll link in today's show notes. just a safe space and a safe community. And once again, the cool thing about Instagram, you can be anonymous. Journaling. Maybe you just sit down and you've put on some calming music and you just write whatever comes. There's going to be tears, I promise, or you're typing it out. Maybe you save it, maybe you delete it, maybe you rip it up and burn it. Nothing's off limits. This is a time just to sit down and be with yourself, and you just write what you're feeling, or you're writing your story, or you're writing your phrase that you're going to use to share. Then there's, of course, social media. If you're ready, put it out there on social media. This is just a really neat thing for some when you're in the right space. It should not feel forced or pressured to share. It's always something that you can decide in your time. But many start a blog, do a Instagram and a Facebook post, YouTube channels. Many have started YouTube channels, like big things, but literally just using your personal account to share what you're going through and let it out there is healing. It's powerful. I've healed myself through my sharing process, and many will say the same thing. Once again, just expect to cry. And maybe it's great to type this out on Google Docs or your phone notepad or somewhere before, and then go paste it into social media. I just want to close with empowering you to know that your story matters. In the right time, when you are ready, perhaps your child is 2 or 5 or 10 or 15 or 20, and you've never shared, or you know somebody who's never shared. This is a great week. We want to see your stories. Tag me in it. I would love to be part of your journey. If you're looking for help in creating or how to share, just like this patient did, they know they can come to me. I want you to know you can come to me. Drop into my inbox on Instagram. Send me a message on my website. Email me. I'm here for you. I'm also going to include my 10-step process to become an infertility advocate in case that's a step you're looking to. And I'll also link my blog posts in today's show notes for you as well if you'd like to look back on those. Thank you for listening. I will see you back here next week, Tuesday. If you enjoyed today's show, please head over and hit subscribe or leave a review for Hopeful Hints and Infertility Podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you back here next week, Tuesday.